Hi, welcome to SBR Videos. I'm Peter Loshak. It's Wednesday, December 16th. This upcoming Saturday, we have a very interesting bowl, the Las Vegas Bowl, BYU and Utah. And professional sports bettor Teddy Covers has selected this bowl to discuss with us in terms of possible betting value. Teddy, this is an interesting matchup here because, first of all, it's a big rivalry. And then second of all, it's got to be, any way you slice it, a disappointing bowl assignment for Utah. At one point, Utah had their eyes, realistically set on a spot in the college football playoffs, and now they're in the Las Vegas Bowl against BYU as just a 2.5-point favorite. They closed the year losing ATS. BYU closed the year with 2 huge wins and covers. So if you expect that momentum to continue here, maybe BYU has some value. Or if you expect, Utah to just have a talent edge here and play more to the level that they were playing when they were a legitimate championship contender, maybe Utah minus 2.5 is a great bet. What's your take on it, Teddy?
Yeah, I mean, it really is a fascinating game, and there's so many different subplots. And let me start with this. When you break down the X's and O's on these two teams, you break down the offensive line versus the defensive lines and the wide receivers versus the secondaries and the 2 quarterbacks, and there's not a whole lot of difference. I mean, I could see why Utah is short chalk, but not even worth a field goal worth of difference between these two squads when you grade out the personnel. The fascinating thing about this game all come from the intangible aspects. We have Bronco Mendenhall and his staff who are all leaving for Virginia. It's not just Mendenhall. I think he brought 8 assistants with him to Virginia, or he's going to bring 8 assistants. But whenever a coach leaves, they always leave. Not this situation. Mendenhall sticking around at his alma mater for one last game, and all of the assistants are sticking around too. And that's meaningful for BYU. When the coach is saying, yeah, we could bolt, and Mendenhall's a BYU alum. He wasn't going to leave this program high and dry. He took the money. I can't blame him. I don't think the players blame him. But I would expect an inspired effort out of BYU in this one. You also mentioned how Utah was a little bit disappointed in this bowl matchup, even though they get to face their rival. And you're right. I saw a good handful of player quotes talking about, we played in Las Vegas last year. And in fact, they played in Las Vegas 3 of their last 4 bowls. Have been right here in the Las Vegas Bowl. It is not the bowl matchup that the Utes wanted. And I don't know that they're going to be able to match BYU's intensity from Mendenhall's last game. So I think the Utes may have a problem with the intangibles far more than the X's and O's on the field.
All right. Yeah. I mean, when I'm looking to bet against a team that might have a disappointing bowl assignment, it's usually when they're a big favorite and I'm looking for them to still win, but to not necessarily cover. The question here, though, is just that, Utah's had a disappointing season. Then are they going to, come into this bowl and give a dud performance and have an even more disappointing season? Because for BYU to cover, they might, lose by 1 or 2 points, but basically they're going to have to essentially win to get the cover. And I'm just not sure is the talent really there for BYU to match up against a team that was, ranked in the top 5 this year?
I don't think there's a huge talent differential.
Okay.
Especially without Devontae Booker for Utah. Remember, Utah's got this, a monster senior back. He had 700-yard games in a 9-game span, and then he got hurt. And the last 2 games without him, the Utes failed to cover. They really failed to sniff a point spread cover in either one of those games. You look at the quarterback, Travis Wilson, the big 6'7" lefty, didn't have a great year. I'm not in love with the Utes skill position talent at all at the wide receiver position. I like the Frosh QB for BYU, Tanner Mangum. He's been real good, and he's been at his best in tight spots, in clutch spots in the fourth quarter at winning these games for BYU. And I also like the Cougars receiving core a little bit better than I like that of Utah. So Utah had that great start. That's months ago now. That's it, forever ago now. This team covered 1 point spread in their last 6 ball games. They were a wildly overvalued commodity. And by the way, these two teams had met in the regular season in each of the previous 4 years, not in 2015, but they played in 11, 12, 13, and 14. Utah won all 4 of those games. So the BYU kids are in quadruple revenge mode, and they weren't blow. There was 1 blowout. The other 3, one was decided by a touchdown, 1 by a field goal, 1 by a single point. It wasn't like Utah was blowing BYU off the field. And the 1 blowout game was like a 9-turnover effort out of BYU that day. So it's like quadruple revenge for these kids. I think that matters.
All right. Awesome breakdown, Teddy Covers. Teddy Covers not seeing a talent edge here for Utah, and that translates into a line value with BYU getting just 2.5 points. Teddy Covers, thanks so much.
Pleasure's mine, Peter. Have a great day.